If I asked you what do you think is the biggest problem at Chelsea right now, you'd likely say Todd Boehly and the club's transfer policy. The amount of players signed by the Blues is the subject of many jokes and memes. So Todd decided to make one more weird decision and hire me. I only have Football Manager experience and this little scouting certificate, so I don't know what he saw in me, but yeah, let's do it. Chelsea are one of the biggest teams in the world, winning 5 Premier League titles, 2 Champions Leagues and 5 FA Cups in the 21st century. But since Todd Boehly took over in 2022, they're far from their best. And I know they're doing well right now, just the fact they didn't do so in the previous 2 years. And I give myself 3 seasons to get the Blues back on track, as I plan on winning all of the 4 major trophies: the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, the Premier League and the Community Shield, the Champions League. But for the first season, I only have 3 simple goals: qualify to the Champions League, win the Conference League and clear up the squad and improve its quality. The problem is, Todd is insanely mean, refuses to give me cash, and gave me Jadon Sancho of all people. So maybe let's look at our overloaded squad. I have decided I will become a simple man, using a typical 4-2-3-1. I also involved some of the young talent that started the save in the under-21s. Since we have no cash for transfers, I decided to spend it on the staff members. A lot of them, especially since our overloaded squad is not that overloaded at all. Mainly because a bunch of our players, like Datro Fofana, Raheem Sterling or Kepa, are all loaned out. Shows I'm not following the Premier League that much. Our only signing is Martin Baturina from Dinamo Zagreb. If you played FM for longer than 3 minutes, you most likely know the name. I signed him mainly because Moises Caicedo had his knee ligaments just a little bit bent, and because we bought a clause from our sale of Tariq Lamptey, and we can finally come to the pitch. We will start with the Conference League qualifiers, in which we got either a Swedish team called Elfsborg, who already defeated us in our Build the Nation Opava save, or the Croatian side Osijek. Elfsborg would inch ahead to guarantee 2 matches against us, and we got the job done within the first 90 minutes. Due to the hard coding of the game, we are back in the old group stage format. We landed in Group G, with Vitoria Guimaraes, Georgian champions Dinamo Batumi, and the champions of Latvia, RFS Riga. We walked it. So let's move into the league. Our debut at Stamford Bridge came against Bournemouth, a mid-table Premier League side. We had a very strong start, as Wesley Fofana scored a powerful header and gave us the lead. I wish we were better defensively though, because Evan Nilsson scored a tap-in and Alex Scott had miles of space to give the Cherries the lead. I gave a chance to a 4-4-2 formation, which allowed our team to find new spaces. That helped Jackson make a pass to Donald McNeely, who gave us an important equalizer. A victory was on the cards, but Noni Madueke hit the post in the final minutes. We had a slight advantage, but we couldn't convert the key chance. The game against Southampton was worse as we started with a conceded penalty. No worries though, Christopher Nkunku also got a penalty and scored it. But why do I talk about this game in detail? Basically, Southampton took the lead again. And the goal scorer? Jan Bednarek of all people. My dad keeps criticizing him whenever he is on the pitch in the Polish national team, so I had to mention that. At least Christopher Nkunku completed his brace. The luck did not seem to be running out though, as against Manchester City, Erling Haaland may have scored, but he was offside. He then scored again, and was offside again. But in the 85th minute, Ake wins the ball back though. Nah, Grealish isn't even trying. He wasn't even trying at this point. This is crazy stuff. So powerful. This was too crazy to believe. Seriously. The downward spiral continued against Tottenham, where Reece James left too much space for Pape Matar Sarr in the box, leading to our 1-0 loss. We made the effort to change the situation though. This includes wins over Everton, Leicester and Newcastle. But against West Ham, we showed our set-piece disaster class in the final minute. Against Aston Villa, Ollie Watkins found the tap-in. And though we took the lead against Brentford, Keane Lewis Potter scored a wonderful shot from distance. Almost as wonderful as this defensive play from Wesley Fofana. This troubled start made us sit on 13th after 10 match days. And this is supposed to be a rebuild, not a distraction attempt. If I wanted to destroy this club, I would do a video where I put myself as Chelsea's opponent's manager. My job is currently stable, but this situation could quickly change if we don't step up in November. And it's so bad that Eidur Gudjonsson revealed his concerns to the press. I have to change tactics and formation, because half of the squad didn't like our current form. And it's not my fault Wesley Fofana does things like this. So, can we step up in November? A late draw against Brighton and the penalty against Ipswich could get our form back in place. if we didn't play Manchester United next. Marcus Rashford had his day. He scored the first goal and assisted the second. Malo Gusto's goal in the second half was nowhere near enough. The next game was against Arsenal, who already got rid of Mikel Arteta. Mainly because they were as bad as us. They still found a way to score. Bukayo Saka scored a mid-long shot. But this time, a corner goal gave something. To be exact, it was Axel Disasi's late equalizer. The tough fixtures did not end here. Liverpool was next. And we stood no chance. This was the point where me and Arteta could probably find ourselves looking for a managerial position together somewhere in the championship. Thankfully, Todd is not mean for now and gave us a month to win a couple of games and turn things around, which would be a key before taking on Manchester City in January. I told our dressing room we have been awful for the first half of the year, and it's time to sort ourselves out. They agreed, and we got to some proper winning. In the next 6 fixtures, we won 5 of them, and I think I found some keys to have a tactic good for the Blues. One of them is lowering the tempo of our game, as well as switching to a 4-3-3. There is no need to trade punches every single time. Christopher Nkunku was crucial in this run, winning us a game against Crystal Palace, setting a result against Southampton, or rescuing a draw against Nottingham Forest with this wonderful free kick. Kiernan Devsbury Hall was also important, scoring an opener against Wolves or a winner against Bournemouth. This made Boehly say I'm fine to stick around, and I hope this good run will not end. But we've got Manchester City and Tottenham next. Before those fixtures though, let's look at the EFL Cup. We started in the first round against Newcastle. Despite a cagey first half, we quickly settled the game with goals from Mykhailo Mudryk and Martin Baturina. Alexander Isak's lone goal wasn't enough, and we progressed to the fourth round against Leicester City. I thought Cole Palmer settled the result rather quickly, but Odson Edouard had other ideas, leading to a penalty shootout. First two takers scored for each team, but Ricardo Pereira missed, as well as Nicolas Jackson. This meant we kept seeing a goal after goal under the very goalkeepers. Our man, Robert Sanchez, made a very powerful shot which landed in the top bins. Mats Hermansen also made a very powerful shot, but it landed straight in the hands of Robert Sanchez, leading us to a dramatic win. This led to a quarterfinal against Arsenal, but there we stood no chance, because we made some defensive howlers as usual. We're now back with the Premier League action. And just like in the previous game, Erling Haaland scored. But was offside again. He still wanted to make sure he put us back in the mid-table, scoring an entire hat-trick in the second half, with Kevin De Bruyne adding one more for good measure. Erling would later go on to absolutely smash the Premier League record for goals scored in a single season. He only scores tap-ins though, so this isn't even a challenge. Things wouldn't be better against Tottenham, mainly because I subbed off Kiernan Devsbury Hall for doing this. Maybe let's move into the transfer window. And the only thing that happened were 4 departures. One is Marco Kurela, who was often caught in very weird losses of possession. We sold him to Real Madrid for 32 million euros, which is a satisfactory amount. Another man to leave was Tosin Adarabioyo, who hasn't played for us pretty much. He went to Nice with an optional fee. The other 2 players we loaned out were Pedro Neto to PSV Eindhoven and David Washington to Burnley. I think it's finally time to call one of our objectives as completed. But we won't accomplish the other 2 when the only win in February is against Leicester. That game also had something massive to note. Christopher Nkunku scored a brace of free kicks. That loss of form made Enzo Fernandez decide I no longer had the support of the dressing room, and he wanted me out of the club, despite the fact our losses were mainly thanks to individual mistakes. I hope you will learn a lesson. And turns out you did. It took only 1 match for Enzo to cool off. And it's a good thing he did, because March was a clean slate. 4 games, 4 wins. Only by 1 or 2 goals, but what matters is the W's. This will be insanely helpful before 2 heavy fixtures ahead. Liverpool and Manchester United were next. We are now 7th in the table, and the perspective of landing in the top 5 is not far away. But right now, it's time to go through the FA Cup. Our first opponents in the third round were Crystal Palace. Martin Baturina and Wesley Fofana both scored 1 each, which was enough for us to advance. Burnley quickly scored a goal in the fourth round, but that was all they could do, as we scored 1 goal each at the end of each half. Against Nottingham, it was a 1-1 draw, so of course we went to penalties, in which Nottingham players scored only 1 of their 5. With Mudryk and Madueke scoring for us, it was enough, and we are now in the quarterfinals. Leicester tried to take revenge for penalties in the EFL Cup, and they did it with Odson Edouard being the scorer. But in the 92nd minute, Ben Chilwell made a fantastic cross to Noni Madueke, who gave us the extra time, only for Edouard to strike again. This time, with no response, making this revenge successful for the Foxes. Back to league action, we had a great start against the Reds. We won the ball in their penalty box, but Christopher Nkunku hit the post. But what he couldn't do in the first chance, he did in the second, as Ben Chilwell found the Frenchman in the box, who put it at the back of the net. He then made it a double, with this audacious chip over Alisson. In the second half, I subbed on Martin Baturina, and he instantly put the ball in the top bins. Szoboszlai and Salah may have tried, but their efforts ended in the woodwork. All the Reds could do was this penalty from Mohamed, as well as a driven shot from their star, which was cancelled by Wesley Fofana anyway, so there was no scare, leading to a massive win. What a match! Maybe something has finally changed for good. Another Red team, Manchester United, also witnessed Nkunku show. The Frenchman opened up the scoring with a powerful driven shot. Noni Madueke doubled the lead and Mikhailo Mudryk tripled it. Manchester United could do absolutely nothing in this match, giving us yet another dominant victory. And I think this, what you see, is the tactic. We again changed it because we had to go for a 5 at the back, and it actually works. The sales of Cucurella, though he has been heavily disappointing for us, and Adarabioyo were not that necessary, because now we struggle with rotation. But whatever, we're not stopping there. We're back into the top 6 with 5 games to play. Arsenal, now managed by Zinedine Zidane, wanted to hinder our plans, and they did it successfully. For neutrals, it must have been a very entertaining game, but 4-2 loss will not help our chances of playing in Europe next season. The league season might be coming to a close, but we still have a chance to get that Conference League trophy. Our first opponents were Austria Wien. You can also watch this video where I moved the best Austrian clubs to Germany, including Austria. Despite a draw in Vienna, we smashed them 5-1 at home, as Martin Baturina scored this wonder of a free kick. In the quarterfinal, the draw glitched for me for whatever reason, we got FC Copenhagen, and a Brazilian wonderkid called Robert scored. I'll be honest, I sometimes simulate parts or whole matches, especially the ones against lower level sides. I just didn't think this would happen against the team from Denmark. We thankfully sorted ourselves out in the return leg. We got to our job quickly, pretty much claiming the 5-0 win in the first half. Our semi-final opponents were Maccabi Haifa? Yes, the team from Israel somehow managed to overturn the deficit against PAOK Saloniki in the quarterfinals and then took the win on penalties. We thought a lone goal on Stamford Bridge from Donald McNeely would be enough, but Lior Rafaelov, an Israeli player who returned to his home club after over a decade in Belgium, has equalized the aggregate. And in the second half, the penalty came. Lior converted it, and it made history happen. Though I wasn't happy with ourselves being on the losing side. A team from Israel is in the European final. I just cannot believe it. And in the final itself, Maccabi was making history again. Against TSG Hoffenheim, they were leading in the 90th minute, but a late equalizer from Mergin Berisha and a tap-in from Ilas Bebu on extra time were sealing the deal for the rivals. But Lior Rafaelov, in his last ever game, made the last minute header and equalized. Unfortunately for Maccabi, he missed a penalty in the shootout, and with Feingold missing one as well, it confirmed the German side as Conference League winners. The winner of the Conference League gets to play in the Europa League, and since one way is out of the window, the other opens up. Though we dropped 2 points against Fulham, Crystal Palace and Wolves are huge wins. And since Arsenal did us a huge favour, dismantling Brentford and putting us level on points with the Bees, we were in pole position for the final match day. We faced Nottingham Forest, while our opponents for 5th hosted Liverpool. They ended with a snooze fest. While for us, Cole Palmer gave a great show, leading to a 4-1 win. We ended the first season of the rebuild with no trophies, but the 5th place after such a big struggle in the first half of the year is definitely a solid result to build up from. We also qualified for the Europa League, so what I expected to accomplish via the Continental Cup, we did in the domestic competition. This, overall, was a troubled season, but with a decent ending, so I can't wait to play the next year. We will have to get a couple of signings in, namely a left back and a center back, so we can push for at least 1 or 2 trophies next year, especially with 88 million in the transfer budget. Here are all the winners of all the top leagues I have loaded, as well as continental competitions, but there is one more thing that I did not mention. England finished first in the UEFA coefficient race this season, which means a 5th team will play in the Champions League next year, and that ticket goes to us. So next year, we'll not go to the Europa League. Instead, we will join the... Thank you for watching the first part of the rebuild. If you enjoyed it, you can hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be very grateful for that. Before I catch you with the second season of this mini-series, check out how I went to Czechia and took charge of SFC Opava. The entire playlist for you is available on your screen right now.